Om Shanti and good morning. Happy Diwali. You must have enjoyed all these amazing celebrations. In India it's so unlimited. I was just visiting Sister Mohini before I came to you here, and it was one after the other coming with trays of fruits and gifts and coming and going. It's such a big heart. We learn so much, no? We go through these celebrations every year, but I think what I enjoy most is the fun that the brothers have putting it all together. Did you see them? They enjoyed so much doing all this decoration. They planned it. They showed me the print before they were when they were planning it. There's so much into behind the scenes by the time we see their actual celebration. And it's when we in the West decorate for Christmas and we do our Christmas shopping. It's that kind of thing. So it's just wonderful to be at home when all this is happening. So what Dorothy was saying is that I will share from my experience is, I think is the only way I can share these days. I think that time for us has changed so much. This is such rich, significant time of the confluence age. I call it, for myself, the golden days of the confluence age. And it's been a long journey with many different phases, and I feel that I'm getting to a place of great joy, but the place where the real work is starting. And when I came to Baba many years ago, I fell in love with this family. I came to Baba here. I was backpacking the world and I came here in Madhuban. I met the BKs at the Dilwara temple. And I took 2-3 classes and then Daddy Janki. Nirvaba invited me to stay here. So in 2 days, Daddy had me in a sari, which I'll tell you something funny. I had no idea how to put on a sari, so I must have wrapped myself up. And when I walked into Pandav Bhavan, there was a daddy coming out of the history hall and she pulled me in, unwrapped me, put the sari on and then sent me out and said, now royal, So this was my start. And so many different things. Those days, the yagya was starting to expand in the West. So we were the babies born from service. Immediately when I left Madhuban, I went to England. I was only 20 days old as a Brahmin, and I plunged into a big project called Million Minutes of Peace. Was anybody around those days? Million Minutes of Peace? Just a few, eh? It was a very intense program. It was the biggest program for peace, for the International Year of Peace declared by the UN, and the BKs were playing a big role. And I was a baby Brahmin, and I had a lot of intoxication, but I was just born. So there I was in London with all these Brahmins dealing with differences and relationships, but very, very, very busy. So our priority there, those days, was we have to get things done. So service was top of the list, and at any cost, we got things done. I remember they created something that they called the Peace Bus. And the Peace Bus was going to tour the UK, and then I think it went across to France, visiting many different places where we had centers and doing many programs. And we spent overnight sewing the curtains, making the hem of the curtains for the Peace Bus. And the Peace Bus was these double-deck buses from the UK, and they had removed the seats, so we had an exhibition at the bottom We had mimes and artists that traveled with the bus, and Sister Manda was the captain. So they visited different places. And at the top, we used to have a projector that Baba mentions in the Murli, and slides. So we had like a little sitting room. People would sit on the floor. It was beautifully done with a carpet. So we spent all night sewing, and I was so intoxicated. And the sister who was responsible for this didn't like what we did, so she ripped it all apart in the morning, and the bus had to go in about an hour. I was so shocked, and I said, we did it with so much love, but it was like, it didn't really matter, it had to be done a different way. So we learned anyhow, at any rate, any cost, but we had to get things done. And the Yagya expanded dramatically. Those days, these projects only reached 45 countries. We were present in 45 countries, and now we are exactly more than double, like 120 countries. So imagine what happened all these years. We grew a lot. But a major transformation is happening now. So we learned, I feel that different generations learn from different things. When the daddies came to Baba, they were born from his drishti. And for them, the knowledge wasn't packaged, service wasn't there, it was the drishti. And then they were the roots. Daddy once told me, you will never do the efforts we had to do. We did them for you. We are the foundation of this Brahmin tree. And then came the trunk of the tree. So you have all the big heads of India, all the zonal in charges. And they were born from the knowledge that the daddies gave them. And they packaged the knowledge in a way that the tree could further expand and go overseas. And we saw what happened there. So we are all the children that were born from a wave of service. At the time when Sister Mohini came, there was a lot of service happening already with the daddies, but not as much. They were the ones who made things happen. Like they took it out of into different arenas and different fields. They were all professionals as well. But and the daddies, when they were prepared, they had nothing else to think of but their own stage. Nothing. Imagine the context. Brahma Baba is becoming Baba's instrument. In Hyderabad, a lot of opposition, a lot of turmoil and chaos, social chaos, coming from the families who were resisting this, coming from the Hindus who were opposing the message that Baba was, and the knowledge that was being revealed was challenging the Hindu tradition. So lots of pressure. One Sister Mohini told us it was very hard walking around Delhi where there was, in every wall, there was something written to ban the Brahma Kumaris, or Mandali those days. And so Brahma Baba didn't resist anything, he accepted the drama. And because there was so much pressure on the government from the Hindus, a Muslim friend from the government told Baba that he could protect him if they moved to Karachi. So Baba accepted that. Can you imagine what it must have meant to leave home, leave everything, and just go with those who had that deep, deep faith and conviction? So they went, and they were together, and their life was only about being so conscious and being together. So it was all about relationships. There was nothing else to worry about, nothing. They had no programs, they just celebrations amongst themselves. Obviously, Mama and Baba's presence was so powerful, so inspiring, such an example. But can you imagine living amongst 300 Brahmins for 14 years in a row? It's not a small thing, is it? So this was the beginning. Relationships. They had to learn how to be together. They had to learn to accept each other. They had to know each other. They had to share. They had to do things together for their survival of the community that they had become. But no other concerns. No other concerns. And we could think, well, they didn't have logic jobs. Their life was much easier than us. Do you think so? Much easier than us? Now Brahmins live in their own apartments, they come to the center and then they go home, and then they decide how much they want to share and how much they want to do. No? So it must have been a big challenge to live together in harmony, because the stories we hear is that they grew a lot, they learned a lot. And Baba, as Didi was sharing the other day, used to hold this daily court in which they had to be, he taught them how to live with each other with a lot of honesty in which they had to share if they had made mistakes, and if they didn't, somebody else would. We're not used to that. We've become so sensitive that anybody saying anything that we don't like, we might react to that. So when I think of Baba as the example of total acceptance of drama, no resistance, and creating this foundation, it is so fascinating to think, this is the beginning. Then the expansion came. And now, what's changing for us right now? What's happening for us right now? We were born and plunged into service. We didn't have that stage. We weren't so wise. So for us, relationships were quite hard, at least for me. When I was this baby Brahmin in London, I was shocked, I was not prepared. All I had was the intoxication of my birth, and I was born here. So I said, the Brahmins are in India. I don't know how to manage in this context. And London was flourishing. And so we went through decades of learning in a different way. Service became our space where we were together, where we were sharing, all living in different places, people living at home, not sharing the same space as Baba, Mama, and the beginning shared. So for us it was different, but now things are changing for us again. Now the expansion already took place. We are serving the entire tree. And yet, Baba says that people only want an experience. And we became experienced in running around and giving the message and running workshops and seminars and lectures and here and there. But Baba also has told us in one of his Avyakt Murlis that you have the knowledge and you have learned to share the knowledge, but you don't experience it as much as you need. So this time, the call of the time for us is to really focus on our stage, really focus on ourselves. Because we have reached wide and far. And I tell people sometimes that now Baba has me completely unemployed. Like the things he used to use me for before, I don't need to do them anymore. Other people are doing it. I was sharing with a Thai group yesterday that when it was time for peace of mind, I used to go around thinking, what guests can we bring to Madhuban? Who can we invite? Who's ready? Who would be interested? And it was not easy sometimes to find people. But now people tell us, we heard you have a program, can we come to India? So people invite themselves. So we don't need to do that anymore. So many things we used to do. And now, before we used to rent big theaters, we used to do huge programs. In Argentina, we used to do programs for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people. When the daddies came, or when seniors came, when Sister Mohini came. We could afford it. it was a lot of work. We had to do not as much deco as this, but we used to manage. Our programs were very nice. But now we can't afford that anymore. Things in Argentina have gone crazy. Inflation is 30% annual. So things have changed, and we don't think that Baba's money can be used in the same way anymore. But the magic is, Baba is getting it all done through other people. I was very happily surprised when Charlie came very recently to Argentina, and we held a program with many of our very good contacts and friends. And he was talking to them about relationships. And I said to him, Charlie, you know, people were listening to you in such a different way. It's like every word you spoke fell in a deep place in their heart. It's as if everything he said was useful to them. Because their call of the time is calling them to do some inner work. And Charlie said something that really was very significant for me. He said, you know, our friends are still a little entertained with their professional lives, but there'll come a time that they will take over service. But we now need to move on to a different level. And it made me think a lot. And suddenly I started thinking about all these people, and I realized that since they met us, what they've become, and how much their lives have changed. And I thought, it makes a lot of sense that if we sustain them further, they will take over. But what should we be doing now? So I feel that for us, we're going into a phase in time in which we are going into that bhakti. Once someone complained to Bab Dada, and they said, we have a sweet complaint. Everybody talks to us about those 14 years bhakti, but we missed it. We didn't even meet Brahma Baba. And so Baba said, you will all have that experience, but in a different context. They were the roots. They were the foundation. They needed to be isolated, because even Brahma Baba was learning how to become soul conscious. Baba gave him the time he needed. This is something I love so much, how much Baba respected his instrument, who was a baby yogi. Brahma Baba needed time to become very familiar with soul consciousness, which was the only effort they did during those days. And they understood that purity was their safety. It was not so clear to them that it was Shiv Baba talking to them right at the beginning. They thought it was Brahma Baba. It was only later, when Baba started this part of Piyu. Baba, you may know this story of Shiv Baba coming through a very young Kumari, and he talks to them for the first time, the way we know Brahma Baba, and Bab Dada now speaks through Daddy Gulzar. He comes in this young Kumari and speaks. So Mama, Dada, Ishwar Kishore, and Brahma Baba realize that the one speaking through her is actually the one that speaks through him. Because Dada Ishwar Kishore had realized that there was a power different from Brahma Baba. Those days, the Murli was not spoken like it is now for us. The Father has come, I am the Supreme. It was not like this. There was an evolution of knowledge through time, and so when Baba is revealed to them, and Brahma Baba then understands that it is Shiv Baba talking through him, then this is the story when Baba asks them all, can you all give me your notebooks? Because then it was like a big new chapter starting in which Shiv Baba would present himself. And amazing how Brahma Baba just accepted. He didn't resist anything. He didn't question anything. So then they were ready to come back to India. And then service started for them. But then they already had this very powerful stage. the Gyan was still not packaged the way we know it today, but when Baba used to send them out on the trains without the tickets and send them to Lucknow, and Daddy Gulzar says we didn't even know where we were going. Just when the train stopped, we would know we had reached there because they told them that was a station. They had no idea. And so, with no money, and Baba just gave them that assurance that they just needed to remember him, and whatever happened, they would just get a touching. So it was their power when the conductor came on the train and asked for tickets. We all give the tickets and we give the passport, but they had nothing to offer. So they just said, we are on a godly mission. And he looked at them in their eyes and said, okay, that was it. So this is the stage, giving people an experience and opening all doors. So many beautiful stories we've heard from the daddies of the beginning. And for us, we started doing service with hardly any stage other than the intoxication we had when we were born. And then, of course, we learned and we became skilled. But now Baba says, you have to be living idols or living centers. So Baba wants us to reveal him through our face. So we have to be doing something very different. And for me, it makes so much sense to me. All my Brahmin life, I've had this promise that when I have time, I will do this and I will do that. And now I see how Baba has freed me from all the things that he kept me so busy with before. And it's not that I don't do anything. If you follow the center, I'm doing something for Baba for sure. I have for many years identified myself as a workaholic. So, and I think we're all a bit addicted to service and to action, because it's easy to measure change. It's easy to measure our growth. But the type of efforts Baba wants us to do now take us to a different place. We need more silence. We need more solitude. The type of checking he was asking us to do in the Murli on Sunday. This sincere, honest, deep checking of how clean is my heart takes me to becoming really aware how much have I really progressed. And I can tell you I've done a lot and I've been busy, and but most of all I've had a lot of fun. I think this Brahmin life is just the best. I can't think of anything else I could be doing out there in this dry world other than what we do. But yet, I see when I connect with this that Charlie was saying, now our friends will take over, they will need very refined sustenance. They need the essence. They need an example. We need to give them an experience. We can take very little of people's time. I'm sure you must all be experiencing this, that it's very difficult to bring them together. And if they come, they want to be there for an hour and a half, that's it, they run out. Bringing people together for retreats is not so easy. So we have to make sure that when we're there, they get it all. So it all comes back to the self. Am I ready? I was given the chance about 2012. I was invited to give meditation classes to a group of politicians. This was for the mayor's team. And they told me we have one strict hour. And so they all came can you imagine the way these were ministers and secretaries. And by the time they arrived, they were so anxious. It was like from 10 to 11. So they had lots to do. They had phone calls. It was like, and I thought, oh my God, I have to be so spot on that, when I'm there, I have to be very essential, and they have to go full. All these people now we're running for elections in exactly 10 days, and they are very much the group coming into power. So now they'll become bigger ministers and bigger people. And again, I will have a chance to meet them. And I think, am I ready? It's not this that makes us it doesn't make us great. It is Baba's service is great, but are we ready? Am I doing the real work Baba wants me to do? Because now I can say I am free. But now I have to deal with my sanskars because I have this pull to action all the time. So now I feel that my real learning space has changed. Now I feel that service happens. It doesn't need me to do any more planning. What I experienced these last 3 years is that my diary gets full of things that I don't plan. It's invitations, it's things that happen. So service will happen anyway. But it is no longer the excuse for me not to be creating the stage that I need to be present wherever Baba will put us. And for me now, what is most important is the family. Before, we thought that we had to get things done no matter what, and it was at the cost of relationship. I'm sure we've all had experiences that we were too busy, we got too tired, so we became very harsh to each other, very demanding, and at any cost we wanted to get things done. And now we cannot do this anymore, because things have changed. What's at the top of the list is, are we happy? Is the Brahmin family happy? And if not, what is required? What should we be doing so that that happens? And for me, a very beautiful learning space has been the last few years in which we went through a process of global functioning, in which many things changed. We realized that there were many things we needed to address. We have opposition online, we have people who have left us unhappy because they've been mistreated. We as coordinators might have abused our position, the power of our position. Maybe we didn't treat them in a loving way. Maybe we took too much from people's time and energy. So now I feel that being in the Brahmin family's company is a real gift. It is an honor. The Brahmins are the highest company ever. Nobody in the world will understand what you're going through. If you're going through some internal upheaval, it's just part of the journey, it's okay. But the Brahmins know. The Brahmins know. Because we've all got Maya. When we've got Maya, we all have the same knowledge. We all share the same family. We all have the same challenges. But now we, more than ever, need to be together. How many of us can sit for hours in yoga at home alone? Do you? Do you sit at home for hours in yoga alone? It's much easier when we are together in Baba's home, no? So I think that for me the golden days of the confluence age is these 14 years of equivalent bhakti for us, in which we are reaching a level of maturity in which we appreciate our time together. Because this was that bhakti. It was time together. And of course they had Brahma, Baba, Mama, they had Didi. The daddies were in the make at that time. Then they became the daddies. And we are now seeing the other end of the daddies. So many daddies have left. I was born when it was the Golden Jubilee. There were 50 daddies on the stage. And it was, when we were asked to introduce ourselves, I was only 3 days here in Madhubana, staying with Brahma Kumaris. And we were only 11 double foreigners, and we used to meet a daddy every hour, more or less, because they were all here after the Golden Jubilee. And when I met Daddy Chandramani, you've heard of Daddy Chandramani, the lioness of the Punjab, she was such a soul. And so she heard from us, I'm so-and-so from such a country, and when I said, I'm Moira from Argentina, then she came back to me and said, why are you so worried? And I said, well, I've just arrived, and you are all talking about that we have very little time, that the world's going to finish, and I have to become like you? And so she said, oh, but you're Papa's newborn baby. You enjoy your childhood. You know, she was so sweet. It was like, wow, what a relief. Whatever it all meant, it was just a relief, you know, because I couldn't sleep thinking, everybody's talking about short time. I wonder what that means, you know. So we met the daddies when they were so mature. And so now it's our chance. It's our chance to be together. And maybe our centers are still not exactly what we want them to be. Maybe we still are in the mode of complaint, and maybe we're still, expecting things from others and hoping that the NCs are Superman or Wonder Woman of some sort, having imbibed everything, ready-made angels. And we're not. We're not. We're making efforts like everybody else. But I think, for me, when I several years ago, I used to come here and I used to hear complaints, and I thought, I don't want to be in the group of people who complain. I want to be in the team of solutions. So I want to make myself available. How can I help? So I started helping in the dining rooms. One thing in the yagya, you have to be careful. Once you offer something, you can be sure you'll end up doing that. I don't want to say forever, but maybe for a while. So, you who are good at this, so you can do this. And so I ended up, helping for the dining room for this event and that event. And so we can improve things. We don't need to complain. We can propose. And this is such a time that any proposal that we have, we are heard. I feel now, if there's anything that I just now went to Didi Nirmala and I said, I want to thank you. I want to tell you the things that I see that have improved so much, and I know the effort that has been put behind. And it's like we need to also let the seniors know how much we appreciate what they do. We are the yagya. The yagya is not this building. It's not the complex. It's us. And we are the yagya here, and we are the yagya everywhere, anywhere. The yagya is not the centers. The yagya is the children. So I feel that now is such a time in which relationships has become our learning space. We learn much more from the conversations amongst us, from listening to each other, from knowing each other, from holding each other. In Argentina, we have changed the way we do things. Before, we were brought up in a more vertical way. I was the NC, I would take many decisions on my own. But now, things have changed, and I would say this is the great virtue of global functioning. We are now core groups. So it's shared leadership. So we are all the coordinators of all our centers. We're a small family. We have 6 centers. And so we're 10 in the core group, because some centers have 2 coordinators. So we meet weekly. And what we do first, before we would have, had a list of things to do, so service needs to get done and this and that, and it was like a demand on us. But now things have changed, because for now it's much more important to us how we are. What we have to do will be a consequence of how we are. Because if we are tense or tired or worn out, or we're going through a flat moment in which we've lost track of our aim, or we are not very intoxicated, we can't feel Baba, we feel lonely, who could ask us to do what? We can't. We need help. We need each other. Of course we have Baba, of course we have the Murli, but when I think of relationships, we spend the whole day together. And some people only come for a little while and then they run out. Then they run back. So what should they find when they come? And so I think that now it is our job, all of us, to make our centers so powerful, such a unique place where we offer the center, our energy. When you come to a center and you sit in Baba's room, you are offering, you're contributing something fundamental to the atmosphere. Because the atmosphere is only the thoughts and feelings that we are sharing in the form of vibrations. It's nothing else. When we come here, we love it because it has such an atmosphere. Do you feel that you float when you walk into Pandav Bhavan? You know? I'm spending these days in Pandav Bhavan. I'm hidden away in a little corner. I'm doing my inner work, and I love it. It reminds me of my childhood days when there was only Pandav Bhavan. Huh? And so Pandav Bhavan has become a tapasya dham. We go there and if your yoga is a bit flat, 2-3 days, and do you feel that? That suddenly you're charged because you're drawing from the atmosphere. So I think that this is our job now. We need to create such an atmosphere around us that we can all be sustained. Not only the center nivasis, all those and Brahmin family coming, because those centers are for us. The public can even be served online. I was just sharing with Sister Mohini, now we feel that we need to put all our content on videos online, because if we give a lecture, we probably have 60, 80 people at the center, or 100, 200, if we have a program. But if we put it online, then we have videos that have had 9,000 visits, and we have a little animation we did of meditation, we have 70,000. And people are telling us, every day we see you, every day we listen to you. And I say, wow. So it's become so unlimited. But now we need to make sure that Brahmins are progressing, that we are all moving forward. So what would have happened amongst them in Karachi those 14 years? What were the conversations like? Mama used to police. She had her secret police. She would send some sister and she would check, are they talking in Hindi or in Sindhi? Because if they talk Hindi, it's only Gyan that they know. They don't know anything else. If they're talking in Sindhi, it could be something else. So, and when the sisters discovered who was Mama's police, then she would send somebody else, you know. What are the conversations there? What is the sharing? And it was, sometimes they share of this sweet competition or race, you know. I remembered Baba so much, and then I remembered him more, I will do better. And I think that for us, things are shifting in this way. Are you interested in service news? What do you do when you receive all these mails of service news? And I'm not trying to be rude about service news, but I'm telling you, you know, what are we really interested in? When we come together and we go into the depth of how we are overcoming things. You know, for many years, for several years I would say, in Argentina we tried to pull the teachers together, and it was about this course and this and that and tools, and it stopped being meaningful to us. So when we invited them for teachers' meetings, they didn't want to come. So they were stopped. So we thought, what is it? What is the new space? So this year, we bring them together to share how they're doing, how they are moving forward, what is their practical application of Baba's teachings, and it's become so rich. So none of them miss. They all come. And even those who are living far, they join us online. So there's no excuse. Distance is not an excuse, because technology is there for us to be together, connected. Right now, what we're doing is, after a brother visited us, Krishna from Shantivan, he taught us about a 21-day bhati to burn everything we have to burn, so it's volcanic. So now they took it up, and now they all do it together in Argentina, online, the centers, and all those living very distant, you know, 1,000 kilometers, 800 kilometers, 900 kilometers away. They're all online. And they do yoga together online. It's not even that they're sharing. One is conducting some thoughts, And they're all connected. And I keep receiving all these wonderful mails. I told them, collect all your experiences and record the comment, and let's do a little book. Let's do something with it, and give it away. And these are new things. It's like we are being pulled inwards. We've been pulled outwards for so long. Do you feel that? Do you feel now that we need to focus? But it has also become safe to be together. There is not this demand of what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. And I remember once Daddy told us here, I'm not going to correct you anymore. And I thought, oh my God, Daddy is not going to remind us, because we got used to Daddy pulling our ears for a long time, no? And we made lots of changes, and we can only have such deep gratitude for how much she has done for us. She has been also very strict with us. Once Daddy Ji told her, I am the mother, you are the mother-in-law. So Daddy Ji used to spoil us, no? She discovered our secrets. She discovered we like chips. And so she understood at the beginning they were given all this spicy food and there was no non-chili food. And Daddy Ji accepted us. She said, they don't like chili. Okay, let's do non-chili food for them. And then she discovered that we liked chips. So she said, okay, everyday chips. Is there anywhere where you can go, you get chips every day? This is her total acceptance. They like this, why not? And then she discovered another secret. They like ice cream. so she fed us ice cream. No? She didn't think we had to become, we had to adapt. She accepted our needs. Then they discovered we like tomatoes for breakfast. They weren't there always, let me tell you. When she discovered we like toast, she said, okay, now let's stop giving them just chapatis. So they bought this oven to bake the bread and make the toast. And this was her total acceptance. She embraced us. She didn't want us to be different. She just wanted us to be part, to belong. So she just wanted to make us happy. She was not bothered by whatever we found difficult or how different we did things when we were abroad. I think she was like an icon of acceptance. That made her ever more loving towards all of us. And it made us feel at home. So I think that now we also need to create such an environment that our centers become that home. I am enjoying knowing the Brahmins. I shared the other day in a panel, we were here, I don't know if you were all here, but I didn't listen to the family. I was always the one speaking. I was always the one telling them what to do and then telling them off if they didn't do. And that only made me more distant and even more lonely. So I had to learn how to earn the love of the family. We can't have such a family for free. To have a place in the heart of the Brahmins is the highest place possible. It is not because we serve VIPs, it is not because we are in front giving a big lecture or doing, whatever is visible, that it is anything great. I think the greatest throne is the heart of the family. But now we need to become worthy of that. So it needs such major transformation. It needs me to really stand on my self-respect, because also the Brahmins will test us the most. We will all go through the biggest tests will come from maybe the souls who we are closest to. I've gone through a lot of opposition, and it has taught me many things. Sometimes I just understand that it's projection. We tend to project to someone who is in maybe an authority position, if you want, but it also helped me to change. It says that opposition fixes your position. But it's the position in your self-respect. There was once, I was in Chile. I lived in Chile for a few years. I was only 5 years in Gyan, and I was trying to set up all the systems. And there was a lot of opposition. People didn't want to hear. And so I was so much criticism going on. And I remember I sat in Baba's room and I said, Baba, I had lost hope in myself. I thought I must, if I am everything they say, then why am I here? And I said to Baba, if I'm of any use, let me know. If I have any speciality, let me know. It touches my heart even today. You know, I was sitting, I just looked at into Baba's eyes, and it's as if he showed me my worthiness. And I said, okay, whatever I have to put up with, I will stand up if it is useful to you. But it was only looking into Baba's eyes that I recognized my specialities. I think that this game, and it's Baba teaching me to accept myself. I think this game of acceptance is knowing the Brahmins for who they are, way beyond for what they do. Sometimes we appreciate people because they do a lot, but we don't really know their speciality. It's just that there was a time we used to value a Brahmin was a very paka Brahmin if they did a lot, brought many students, did this, did that. But today, it is Baba getting things done. Why are we really great? Each one was chosen by Baba for a deep, significant reason. It wouldn't be the same not to have you here. Once a sister who kept coming and going said to me, I don't know which is my place in this family. And I said to her, every time you leave, your chair is empty. Nobody will sit on your chair. Nobody will replace you. Anybody can do your job, but we are not the roles. We are not the jobs we do. Nobody can shine your light. So the more we know each other for who we are truly, it is so beautiful to be together. I realize we're changing. I was telling Sister Mohini, we are reaching the long-wanted unity we wanted. But we have to work on it, because it means dying to my own vices every day. But I realized that the souls I live with 2 sisters at the center, they are real gems. I always have this emerged awareness of fortune, and I feel very fortunate to live in Baba's home. So I feel that we need to take care of each other. When we started Global Functioning, Charlie invited me to be part of this group called Care and Well-Being. It meant so much. I thought we were planning, we were going to go into global planning, and this is what I was coming from, but I didn't know that that would transform me. I didn't know that Baba was putting me with a group of souls that I would learn so much from. I think Charlie is like an icon of care. I call him a Prince of Hearts. I think he has a place in the heart of the entire family. I don't know anyone who remembers our names. He calls everybody by the name. Have you seen that? Have you noticed? No? Because he cares so much for each one. And it's been so precious for me to learn just from the meetings when we started listening to what the family is going through, what are the real needs, but not in a mode of complaint, blaming or, criticizing, not at all. Like, if there is a problem, what can we do about it? Do we really care? And so many nice initiatives came out from this. And for me, that was such a learning curve. And I thought, wow, I could be doing this in Argentina. So now we have a care and well-being group. And they also meet online. It's such a lovely group. And they're looking at so many different things, Are we really helping each other when we are sick? Or is it their problem? It's not just the people at the center. I have asked Ken if we can bring some souls who need help to the center to take care of them when they are sick, because they can't manage. So I feel that things are changing in a very deep, significant way. I feel that for me, when we have the core group meetings and they all share what they're going through, now I see them like, they're coordinators, but they're also dads. They have children, they're mothers. We have a center coordinator who has 4 children in 2 different countries, 4 different cities, I don't know. And so she keeps telling me, I should be going to see my grandchildren here. Her son died, so she should go and see her daughter-in-law. And she's a center coordinator. And I say, fine. It is most important that you fulfill your role as the mother, as the grandmother. They should be happy with you. They should be with you. What would happen to our families and to us if, having had so much, we didn't give them enough time because we had service to do? What is service? So for me, when this sister tells me, can I travel for a week here, or can I go there? And she always combines it with other things. But for me, it's top of the list that she is a happy mother coordinating a center. She's not just a coordinator. And when it was the time of the daddies, Didi told us the other day, they were asked not to receive their lockings. You remember when she was telling the story? Those were those days. That was their context. They were not exposed to the world. The world didn't know what was going on in that bhati, in that oven. They didn't know that these deities, these angels would emerge from that bhati. But we are completely exposed. Our families know, our friends know, our colleagues know, everybody knows the life we are living. So we cannot neglect our families. Even if we are center nivasis, we should give time to our Lokik families. It is of great defamation if our families tell us she doesn't have time for us because she's, devoted her life to the BKs. It would be great disservice. So I think that this time is very, very precious time. And we need to be very, very sensitive to our own need, to the need of all the people at the center, but also our Lokik families. It is very, very important that we give them time. It is very important. I can tell you, I enjoy so much when the mothers and the fathers in Argentina share how they are helping their families. And I see sometimes Kumaris and Kumaris, we are free. Some are young. I am no longer young. I came to Baba when I was 24. Now I'm 54. But sometimes the ones who are free are not so stable in the long run. And those who are in bondage, Baba says they remember me more. And they are at home. They go slowly, but steady. I can see how they've become these icons of support to their families. The families going through chaos, financial, health-wise, work-wise, so many things. And they are these angels that have completely accepted their role. They don't want to be anything else. They're there in the household, but they're the angel, that light, lamp ignited, giving support. We have one mother whose daughter was quite young when she came, and she rebelled a bit to her mother's life, and then she fell into a depression. For 1 year, she was lying on her bed. And Nancy used to tell us,
विकराल विनाश खड़ा आगे अब हम सबका शिव पिता ने बतलाया है शिव पिता को अब याद करो पांडव शिव शक्ति सेना की रणभेरी अब फिर बजती है शिव बाबा के ज्ञान से फिर माया को मार भगाना है शिव पिता को अब याद करो सतयुग में तुमको आना है शिव पिता को अब याद करो मुक्ति धाम तुम्हें जाना है अपने सुकर्मों के बल पर ही सतयुग में अब तुम्हें आना है सतयुग में अब तुम्हें आना है धाम में तुम्हें जाना है
this mother's daughter was lying on her bed for 1 year. She was completely depressed. She didn't know what to do with her life. And the mother was beside her like a lamp. Nothing was more important than taking care of her. Now, her daughter is studying 2 careers. She's graduating now at the end of November as a lawyer. And next year, halfway through, she'll graduate as a psychologist. And she tells the mother, one of the titles is your title. Because without you, I wouldn't have managed. You know? So when our families need us, at their time of need, we need to be there. Who would believe that we're helping the world if we're not helping our families? Who would believe it? You know? So, but I think I just wanted to share something about coming back to the self. So on one hand, I think relationships is at the top of the list. Meaningful conversations is our new learning space. When Brahmins can speak openly from their heart without feeling threatened, feeling it is safe to be themselves, that they don't need to prove that they want to be someone whom they are not. They don't need to prove themselves through the things they do. They are free to do, even not to do, and they're still accepted. I think this is very powerful learning space because it faces us with a real choice. Where exactly am I heading? What is my aim? I remember about 3-4 years ago, Daddy Janki said, you have to fall in love with your aim. And And I thought, what is my aim? I've been here for so long, but I think I lost it. I'm used to coming to Madhuban every year, twice a year. I'm used to doing this, I'm used to doing that. I was like a Brahmin on automatic pilot. And I thought, I'm not really sure why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's not that I think I could be doing something else, but I had lost track of meaning, deep meaning. And then I thought, I want to become pure. I want to become totally pure. I want to be one of the angels to help Baba. So it says it brought me back home to a place of different efforts. I had to focus on overcoming what a friend of mine called anemia in the soul. I had a friend of mine that Maria Adriana knows. She was a Spanish scientist living in Cambridge, and she used to visit Argentina every now and then. And I loved talking to her because she used to talk about quantum physics, and I loved to explore some ideas. She was in Gyan. She had become a friend of Prashant in Cambridge. And one day I told her, Antonia, you know, I have to overcome a very severe anemia that my body has. I had chronic anemia. And I was so arrogant. I used to say I'm a very strong soul in a weak body, and the body follows me. And so she said, in a very nice Spanish accent, she said, when the anemia of the soul heals, the anemia of the body will also go. Wow. I thought, the anemia of the body is extreme. The doctors were surprised that I could fly around and I was still okay. And so I thought, I wonder what anemia in the soul means. So it really made me very curious and introspective. So I went through my life story right to my childhood with this question: which of the 5 vices have I taken most sorrow from? Because as much as we have a leading virtue, which is our speciality, no, we also have a leading vice. Some people are very arrogant, others are very lustful, others are very angry, others are very, different intensities. And so I started looking back at my life, and I realized that a big value for me was justice. And so I believed that I had to fight for my rights. So I became a warrior. And I used to, at school, I was always defending people. And then when I was studying, I'm a surgical nurse, and there was some situation in the hospital, and there was they were abusing our free time. They wanted us to stay on without even asking us, obliging us. So I created a revolution in the hospital. Even the director called me and said, to make a long story short, I won the war, but I was so unhappy. And when I was looking back at my life, I realized there was a pattern that repeated along again and again. And it brought me to the conclusion that anemia for this soul was anger. Anger was what I was taking most sorrow from. So I said, wow, this is a discovery I need to sit with now. And I realized how it impacted my Brahmin life, the relationship at the center, different things with myself. And I think, and you all must experience this, when we have a very honest desire to change, an angel will walk right past you and offer you a gift. And that angel was Mike George. He happened to come to Argentina, and he had only just published this book, Don't Get Mad, Get Wise. Did you see that book? So I was in his room and he was unpacking, And he flipped this book and said, "Here, have a look at this." And when it fell into my hand, I looked at him and I said, "Wow, Mike, this is just what I need." And so I started reading his book, and I thought Mike has this sense of humor in which he explores the things that are painful for the soul, not easy to accept, but that we need to learn. And so I became very interested in understanding how to overcome anger. A gift from all this learning was that I am really not a victim of anything or anyone. It took me a while to realize, because Mike said something. He said, "Things happen for me, but they don't happen to me." I'm sure you're asking the same question I asked him. What does it mean that things happen for me, but not to me? And so he said, for example, so he explained it in this way. He said, if you have your favorite provoker here, do we all have one? The one that pushes the right buttons that make me react? We all have one. Maybe we have more than one, but let's think of one. If he or she is here, saying the typical thing that provokes me and for which I have typically reacted. So if I asked you, is that happening? What would you say? Is it happening? He's saying it, she's saying it. Is it happening? Yes. Where? Here. He or she is saying or doing that which I would call something provocative. But is it happening to me? What would I have to do for that which is happening here to happen to me? I would have to import it. I would have to take it. I would have to start thinking about it. So if I start thinking about it, suppose someone is insulting me. Moira, you're careless, or you're whatever. That wouldn't be an insult really, but anything that would provoke me. If I don't think about it, I won't feel it. It's only because I start thinking about it, like when the computer, you export or you import a file, you see all the little pages flying from one place to the other. So this is what we do. If something is happening here, if I start thinking about it, I bring it from here, I bring it in here. So now, if I feel insulted, do I feel like this because he or she said it, or because I am thinking about it? Nobody can make me feel anything that I don't think. This is such a hard cookie to digest, because if we accept this as a fundamental truth, I can only feel what I'm thinking. Then I can take the responsibility for feeling the way I am, for being the way I am, because nobody ever did anything to me. It was always only me. Do you accept that? Yes? Is that true? Nobody can do anything to me. It can only always be me. Yes? And we have done such a long journey in the illusion that I have been a victim of this and a victim of that, and projecting on this and projecting on that, thinking that so-and-so did this to me, so-and-so doesn't allow me to. No? who did we surrender our life to? We put our life in God's hands. We are not in the hand of any individual. But sometimes we think we are. It feels like it, no? So we feel a victim. But we really aren't. But it's only when I accept that I am a completely free bird to think whatever I want, that then I have the real choice. And the Brahmin family, of course, is going to test us. Charlie said something very beautiful when he came to Argentina. I hope I remember it exactly to share it with you. He said, by becoming incorporeal, we resolve our dilemma with matter. So we recreate a pure relationship with matter. By becoming viceless, we come close, we come back to God. We create a pure relationship with God. And by becoming egoless, we resolve our dilemma with our Brahmin family. Because we create a pure relationship with which we will set off for another journey around the cycle. Isn't that beautiful? Baba wants us to become bodiless, viceless, and egoless. No? So it's very interesting. Think about it very deeply. No one has ever done anything to me. It has always only been me. It's not easy to accept, because the belief that we had that I could be hurt by someone is so deep. Therefore, being a victim is not more comfortable, but it takes away the responsibility that I have for the change that is required to move out of those feelings. You know, once when I moved from Argentina to Chile, I was not the center coordinator even in Argentina, and I was in a conflict with a sister there. When I moved to Chile, I was in a team. We were Marcelo from Colombia, Valerian from Switzerland, Terry, who was from Australia, and myself. So we were a group all living together in a little apartment, the only center that was there. We were all very wild people. Baba had a bunch of adventurers to start off these countries, I can tell you. We were all very young. And I remember when I went to live there, the Andes range divides Argentina from Chile. So I was walking on a street that faced towards the Andes, all covered in white, beautiful snow. And I was in this inner conversation, talking, arguing with a sister in Argentina, with whom I had been in conflict. And suddenly I looked at the mountains and I said to myself, wait a minute, she is on the other side. I wonder doing what? But I brought her here. So I thought, is it true that she ever did anything to me? Because it's not true that she's here. She is exactly in another country. And here I am in the same, I'm thinking in Spanish now, like in the same automatic pilot, let's say, of thoughts, just a thought pattern. And I thought, I wonder if it was ever true. If all what we went through was an illusion. And Baba says it's Maya. So it was an illusion. It might have happened. Facts are there. We do things. But now we need to learn how to take care of ourselves and take full responsibility for the freedom we have for who we are. There's nothing like someone creating your role. Once someone asked Sister Mohini, who decides who does what in Brahma Kumaris? And Sister Mohini said, well, some people realize that there are some needs and they offer help. Nobody decides, this person has come, so we'll make him into this and he'll have to do this forever. There's no such a thing. Everything that we're doing for the world is still too little. And it's our maximum for the time being. So whatever we want to do, we can do. There's a very inspiring writing in the dining room in Panda Bhavan that I always keep telling Maria Diana, look at that. I keep seeing it every meal. It says, don't wait for opportunity, just create it. Do you like it? Isn't it wonderful? So we're completely free. But accepting that we're free is the first step. Because otherwise, we play the victim. We feel that this we can't do, this we... And maybe someone may not have allowed you to do something yet. The question is, are you ready? Maybe you want to do something very big. And Baba is waiting for you to do it. And you don't see it happening, but maybe you haven't practiced enough, maybe you haven't learned enough, maybe you're not strong enough. Baba is not going to expose our honor. He will always protect our honor. So we have total freedom. We are a free bird. So now, for me, everything boils down to just thoughts and feelings. Thoughts and feelings, that's all it is. And it's become just a love story. I loved Bab Dada's meeting. He just wants to make sure that we know and that we have the full guarantee that he loves us. We don't need to become anything for him to love us. He already does. We just need to love ourselves as much as he loves us. Isn't it amazing how he insists? There's so many, I don't know what word to use, textura. There's like, in his drishti, the word that comes to my mind is like texture. There's like different games in his drishti in which he wants to reassure that we feel what his drishti is conveying. It's such a subtle game. So now we need to be very subtle ourselves, because it will all happen at that level. I can see how things that were very difficult in the past, I'm thinking about them, even here in Madhuban, cleaning my heart. Someone that I had difficulty, every time I came, I felt, oh my gosh, I have to face this again. And this time I said, okay, I'm going to love her. I took the decision. And I just think, every time I see that person, I think, what quality, I want to focus on qualities. And I can see, so I'm surprised when I come close in different contexts, the soul offering me things, and I say, wait a minute, I'm not used to this, And it's changing, but it's changing at the level of my thoughts. It's changing at the level of my feelings. What's changing is that my heart is healing and becoming clean. And I think that's the work we have to do here. I just want to finish telling you that Madhuban is a place for surgery. Do you feel that? So we are here. This is the office of the Supreme Surgeon. And I am a surgical nurse. So a surgeon needs 3 things to be able to operate his patients. He needs the family and friends to stay out. The patient can only come in alone. He needs the patient to come naked, so clothes off. And he needs the patient to be very still. So what do we need to do to become the patient of the Supreme Soul? We need to sit in solitude. We need to be silent. We need to step into our self-respect. Baba doesn't listen to us when we come with complaints in body consciousness. He can only meet us if we are soul conscious. So, this is the perfect place But his surgery is very different to all the things I saw. His surgery is a laser beam of love. That surgery gives you a little pain afterwards, but this surgery removes all the pain. So we are in the perfect place to undergo major surgery. Anything that is heavy, any burden on the soul, things of the past, we need to let go. And I like this, what Mohini taught us in Peace Village. She said, stop processing and practice. You know, processing is analyzing our emotions and why this and why that and because of this and because of that. And it takes the best of our time and it just entertains or even distracts the soul. Emotions, analyzing emotions is not going to make us soul conscious. It is by emerging the awarenesses that Baba is teaching us that we become that. Huh? So this is the freedom we have. Do we accept that we are free birds? Do we accept how fortunate we are? This is such a time. The golden days of the Confluence Age. So Om Shanti. If anybody has anything they would like to share, or any reflection, or anything you would like to say? Not? Yes? I came with the aim of practicing putting a full stop and letting go of the past, my past and the other person's past. And also something that I'm telling myself all the time, do I need to have an opinion? Do I accept things as they are? Nothing needs to be different. For me to be okay, nothing needs to change. Nobody needs to do anything. I need to change. So I came with that very determined aim that I'm exercising, putting a full stop. You know, like I see myself, and I know what things trigger. I say, wait a minute, I'm not going there. This is not my game anymore. And I tell myself, do I accept? It doesn't need to be different. I tell myself. I am enjoying it. It's a very interesting game. And you know, every day here I am discovering that I can do whatever with my mind. It's not that I have full control, but like I play little games and it happens. It just happens. I'll just tell you, you are the Thais there, no? Thais are there in that row. The other day I had to meet I had to meet the Thai group, but then I had to go to Shantivan, so I had to find a way at 6 a.m. to tell them that I wouldn't come to the meeting at 9:30. And I was coming with a bus from Pandabhavan to collect the Brazilians, thinking, where am I going to find some Thai to tell them that I won't be meeting them at 9:30, and you won't believe it. And I was just telling Baba, I don't want to let them down, I want to let them know. And the bus stopped, and who do you think was at the bus stop? The Thai group, at 6 a.m., the Thai group. And they were all smiling, such beautiful little angels. And I said, I just wanted to make sure, are you the Thai group? I couldn't believe it. And I said, oh my God, you know, they're here, standing. There was nobody anywhere else. They were standing there. And I thought, wow, why don't we practice this more often? You know, whatever we want with a pure heart just happens. It's magic. We can practice. We can play as much as we want here in Madhava. Doesn't it happen to you? You want to meet someone and the person walks right past you. This is Wonderland. Eh? This is Madhuban, such a place. I also tell myself, I'm not a victim, I'm a free bird. I love this. Okay? So Om Shanti. Shall we do? Shall we finish with meditation then?